Welcome to Daily Meditation with Sangha Live.
I'm speaking from the bird nest Zen cave in the community where I live. You can see in the background the Chinese letters there, and you read it from back to front, like so from right to left, you would read it. And so the first sign means bird, and then the next sign, the second from the right, means nest. And then it's the sign for Zen. And the last one, which would be in our Latin language, the first one is the word for cave, kutsu. It means kutsu in Chinese. So I tried this room out for the internet capacity because it's difficult where I live. It's quite far away from big cities. And if I disappear, just practice patience or practice whatever's coming up for you. And I will reconnect. And the same for you. Like if you lose your connection, it's good to refresh the browser. Yeah. So warm welcome, especially to those of you who may not have been here before. So this session is like 15 minutes of like an introduction into the topic, arriving into the day, settling in, orientating. And then we have like half an hour of a guided meditation. And today I will guide a meditation which is, I think, very beneficial for calming down the nervous system, which is essential if we want to meditate, that our nervous system is settled down. Like in a really agitated state, it's not possible to enter a state of meditation. And then at the end, we have 50 minutes time for questions. And your questions are so welcome. You can type them type question in capital letters or reflection, and just join the chat, which is like so nice, like to feel the aliveness of this Sangha, which like yesterday I read were people there one person from Bali and from Australia, and people from the Netherlands, from the UK, from France, from America. It's quite amazing that we meet here, right? Yeah. The topic I choose for this week is the joy of simplicity. And actually, I could just change it into simply that, or just simplicity, because it implies that if we enter into simplicity, that there is joy on your side, which I don't know if there is. And at the same time, being simple is so much encouraged in those teachings. And actually in all wisdom teachings. And it does lead to a place of joy if we embody simplicity. I like to read you one quote of Rilke. And like I read that often as the beginning of the deep rest retreats, which I'm leading. And somehow I feel it could be enough of the teaching. Like if this is all the teaching I give into the retreat, it's kind of enough. And then it's not in another way. Okay, listen with your body. You have to give things their own quiet, undisturbed development, which comes from deep within and cannot be forced or accelerated by anything. Everything is gestation. And then giving birth. Maturing like the tree that does not force its sap and stands confidently in the storms of spring, without fear that summer might not come behind it. It will come. It will come after all. How would that be? To give things their own quiet, undisturbed development or unfolding, which comes from deep within. It cannot be forced by anything. Everything is gestation and then giving birth. Like a tree that wouldn't force its sap, right? So very often when we come on retreat, there is there are teachings about the 5 hindrances, so-called hindrances in Buddhism. And the Buddha taught about them in the Satipatthana Sutra. And somehow it's awesome if the hindrances come up, because it's amazing that we can see it, that we can be aware of it, and that we have the capacity to give space to that. They show us our deepest longings, those hindrances. But very often there's a tendency to think we have to get rid of them. So there are other lists in Buddhism which invite qualities we can take in rather than getting rid of them. Is more like to develop those qualities. Like, for example, in the 7 factors of enlightenment, the Brahma Viharas, the 10 paramis, the qualities, the heart qualities. And one of the 10 paramis, which could be translated as the 10 perfections of the heart to cultivate in one's practice, is renunciation. And this goes together with simplicity. And like, you could check for yourselves which parts of which areas in your life, which aspects could you renounce? Could you simplify? And I invite you for this week to really play with it, like to just not stop this session here at 9 a.m. Middle European time, but take the teachings in this day. I was walking from the Northern Sea to the Baltic Sea 2 weeks ago with my daughter. It was her idea, and she carried most of our luggage. We were sleeping outside. It was very cold and it was very hard. And we had a lot of fun. Isn't that amazing? Like, there's so much simplicity that it's even hard, but then there's so much joy coming out of that. It was like also like deep joy, the connection with my daughter. And we only ate oat and lentils, because since my daughter carried most of our stuff, she insisted on just having lentils and oat with us, and no salt. It was too heavy. No ginger, which I would have loved to take. And I had an injury, like an accident 1 year ago, and I can't carry so much. So that was the deal. So we ate 1 week oat and lentils cooked in water. Sometimes we found an apple. And it was so yummy. It was so delicious. We ate in the morning and we ate in the evening. It was really cold. It was hard to prepare the fire. And we were just so delighted by this food. So where in our like usual life out there we have the experience of being like fascinated, like of the taste of just lentils cooked in water, oat just cooked in water without anything else. So this is like just a little guideline for your day to look like where could simplicity, where could you just play with it? Well, I kind of promised to read a story every day from the morning talks of Abbot Linji. So I like to do that now. And this abbot lived in the 9th century. And he was a very important Chinese Zen master of the Jan Buddhism. And he founded the Linji school, which is named after him. And in Japan, this school is known as Rinzai. And actually, these teachings, it's a small book which is only translated in Hungarian and German. And it was found in Tibet, like this. All the teachings of the abbot, which are put together in this little book, were found in a little monastery in Tibet by a Hungarian man who studied Tibet, Tibetology, I think it's the word. And it's really interesting because he came across this monastery. He got interested in the monastery, and this is, I don't know how many years ago because I couldn't find anything about it. It must have been like maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, something like that, 40 years ago. I don't know. It's not written in the book. I just know that this man is born 1950 and then somehow traveled to Tibet, found this monastery, found the teachings, but the monks there, they wouldn't hand out all the teachings of Abbot Linji, but just every day a few. So when finally they promised to give him all the teachings, the next day he went there and this monastery was gone. There was nothing there, no monks, no teachings. The monastery was locked, the windows were locked. It was like as if nobody ever had lived there. And the neighbors said that they wouldn't know about those monks. And this is kind of, the story goes really much together with the teachings of this Abbot Linji, which are unusual teachings in a way. Not reaching, like yesterday I was talking about beginner's mind. So there are more pointing towards the absolute truth. Okay, I give some space more at the end for the meditation that we will have 30 minutes of meditation. I read the story now. One morning in the monastery of Abbot Linji, the monks approached the master with the following question. Master, tell me, what should someone who wants to attain enlightenment as quickly as possible do? Nothing, said Linji without hesitation, and then remained silent for a long time. How do you do nothing for enlightenment? One of the monks finally broke the general silence. Only lightly and casually, Linji replied and explained his answer in more detail with the following example. One day, several hundred years ago, Emperor Wu of the Liang dynasty sent an envoy to Bodhidharma, the first patriarch, to see him. Bodhidharma, he said to the saint when he appeared before him, show me the way to enlightenment and explain the surest method to it. I want to know what I should do. The sage promised to readily give instructions to the emperor and explain the nature of enlightenment. He had a huge lectern erected in the palace courtyard from where he wanted to speak to his high-ranking audience. When the time came for the lecture, he slowly climbed onto the frame in the presence of the emperor and the assembled courtiers. When he reached the top, he looked down meaningfully, and the many people present, and then raised his stick in warning. He stood on the lectern in complete silence for a long time, holding up the stick. And when his audience began to grow impatient, he suddenly struck the stand with his stick. After the huge bang, he waited a little longer, then bowed and left. A disciple standing next to the emperor asked him politely, "Has your majesty understood the master's teaching?" "No, I didn't understand any of it at all," the emperor replied. "What a pity," replied the disciple, "for the master has already finished his lecture." "Will there be no continuation? Will the master not explain his thoughts in more detail?" asked the emperor. "No, he has nothing more to say," the disciple replied coolly to Emperor Wu and followed his master. The frozen courtiers looked at each other in dismay. When they had finally recovered a little, they began to insult Bodhidharma angrily. "You did not know," Abbot Linji finished his discourse, "that the Buddha's teaching does not contain any kind of stress. No one walks the path of salvation too quickly. No one can find the way if he seeks it, but he goes the way who does not seek it." "Fellow travelers," Linji said at the end, "try to understand the patriarch well and do nothing for enlightenment. It is enough to do everyday things and remain without busyness. Be your own masters where you are, and you will find confirmation right there. Every day, every morning, everywhere." Abbot Linji concluded his lecture in his monastery off the banks of the Huoduo River. So please get comfortable for doing nothing. And while doing nothing, you can still really feel from inside which would be like a good position to enter a meditation time, and use really the wisdom of your body to enter this position. And you're so welcome to lay down, to stand up, to sit, to move, to walk. Really tuning into what's supportive for you. And the invitation is to move the body in micro movements just at the beginning, to settle in, like maybe sighing, yawning. Kind of as if you would cuddle your body in a blanket into the earth. And it could really be very supportive to lay down. And at the same time, you can follow all those invitations I speak in this room, also in any other position. And as you settle in, just feel if you could need a hand on your chest, maybe, or in the space below the collarbones, pressing your fingers here, and give you time to arise, to settle in. And as yesterday, if you practiced with me, we were very tender with the breath. You could enter and kind of reconnect in this now new and fresh breathing with this tenderness, with the quality of silence, stillness, the quality of listening and curiosity, while the body is opening, widening, expanding on the inhalation and sinking down on the exhalation. And with every exhalation, you could drop down more of the body towards the earth. Maybe with the exhalation, the space inside your shoulders can relax a bit more. Maybe with the exhalation, the shoulders sink down kind of through the kidneys into the pelvis, down towards the floor, the ground. And allowing time for this process of sinking. So simple, with nothing to add, nowhere to go. Just allowing the simplicity of breath, body movement. Simplicity of cuddling into the cushion, into the earth, sinking down with gravity working through the body. Also allowing tissue to stay tensed, allowing mind to be agitated or doing its thing while you're tuning into the movement of breath, of inhalation, exhalation, expanding, sinking, shrinking. What about allowing this movement of breath in the whole of the body? Maybe you can even feel the skin kind of opening with the inhalation, shrinking a bit with the exhalation. And with the inhalation, the invitation is to really gently open the palms of your hands and the palms of your feet in a micro movement. And with the exhalation, allowing the hands and the feet to release, to relax. So as you inhale, really, really subtle, open the palms of your hands and the palms of your feet. And with the exhalation, allowing to drop down, to release. And continue with this movement, the subtle micro movement with the inhalation, opening, widening, expanding. With the exhalation, sinking, releasing. And the suggestion is, while you're so in tune with the movement of breath in your whole body, really gently start moving your spine. As if the spine is getting in relationship with the ground or with the space behind. You could like press the spine into the floor a bit, feeling other areas which are lifted up, or do the same with kind of pressing the spine into the space, into the air below your back, and allowing the spine to curl itself through the body. Just in your own so unique way, and this movement can be so subtle and tender. While you can still be with the opening and closing of breath, of tissue. And everything which comes through, thoughts, emotions, sensations, just allowing, just giving space while so in contact with the body, breathing, the body, curling the spine, making love with the earth, the spine, making love with the space. Maybe you can move your spine in a way that it's really yummy or juicy, enjoyable. Sometimes maybe more subtle. Sometimes the movement is maybe a bit bigger, direct. And while you keep moving the spine in that way, and when I say spine, could also mean the spine in your legs and the feet and your arms and your hands, the head. It's all connected. Just one more thing you could try out. So simple. And just be curious for the answer of body, mind, heart. With the inhalation, sensing into the opening. And then you could like hum a sound which could sound like it's really like very, very gentle sound. And after doing this like 2-3 times, listening to the tissue, to the space in the body, the space around the body. Being so inwardly. So you can go on like this in a very gentle, so kind and friendly way. The subtle movement, the subtle dance between the spine and the earth, the spine and the space. And from time to time, with long breaks in which you listen, making this really tender sound of and the sound can be more quiet when you do it. than what you hear from me. Just really inwardly. And listen. And from there, the movement of voice, of body can sink into stillness. And listening to the movement which remains, the movement of breath, energy, sensations, space. Nothing to be, nowhere to go, just this. Allowing openness, expansion beyond cells, beyond body, beyond space and time. Just this. And what about diving with your awareness into that part of your system which is most connected to openness, to juiciness, to aliveness, maybe enjoyable, bright. What about just leaning in there into that part of your body, or that aspect of whatever unfolds, which is more light, more delight than the rest? And what about being fully there with that for the last minutes? And to end this meditation time, you could just lift up the corners of your mouth a little bit. Just sense If you can feel this movement in your chest, in your heart maybe, or at other areas in your body, when you lift up the corners of the mouth even a bit more. Like just try. And if you lift up the corners of the mouth even a bit more, and from there, do whatever is good for you to start the transition from a formal meditation to the listening meditation.
Today's podcast is an offering to you from our archive of freely available live daily classes. We make wisdom teachings and meditations as freely available as possible to as many people as wish to practice. You can help ensure we can continue to support a worldwide Sangha by leaving a review wherever you get your podcasts, by sharing this with someone who'd be interested, and by offering a small financial support at sangha.live/donate.